Dr. Josie Alquist is a digital leadership educator, discovering intersection of digital communication technologies and leadership development. She teaches teens, young adults, and educational professionals, as well as corporate executives, how to humanize technology. Prioritize building online community over marketing and the cultivation of digital leadership skills. Josie received her EDD from California Lutheran University's doctoral program, studying higher education leadership. She is an alumna of Northern Arizona University with a master's degree in counseling and holds undergraduate degrees, did you catch that, plural? Undergraduate degrees from South Dakota State University, where she double majored in sociology and human development and family studies. After 12 years working on college campuses, Josie went rogue from traditional higher education roles and is now an international independent speaker, author, and coach on digital leadership. She also holds a role at Florida State University, Go Noles, as a research associate and online leadership instructor. For the third year in a row, Josie's blog has been named to the top 50 must-read higher education technology blogs by EdTech magazine. Her podcast, Josie and the Podcast, was featured by the Chronicle of Higher Education as a podcast you should subscribe to. You can find her blogging and podcasting online at www.josiealquist.com. Josie's on a mission to help students up to executives thrive online, training thousands. From New York University, Abu Dhabi, to Texas A&M, and now to Longwood, she has traveled around the world sharing a message of what is possible as a leader in the digital age. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Josie Alquist to the stage.
Awesome, thank you. How are we doing? Woo! You know, the reason why we asked you to sit closer, because it's cold in here. So we want our body heat. You know, yeah, we can get cozy. So again, my name is Josie. Thank you so much for having me during Digital Citizenship Week, which, wait, I'm going to completely remix that and call it Digital Leadership. What is that going to be about? I believe now in college, university, preparing for your careers, you actually need to step it up even further beyond just being a citizen and being active and responsible online and taking these tools to be a leader both online and on campus and in life. So we want to be digitally active as well as physically active when we are here physically together. So you can find me pretty much everywhere at Josie Alquist, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, all of the social medias you can dream of. And then if you hear anything you really like, use the hashtag DCW17. You can even use it on Instagram, whatever gets you excited. And hopefully there is some messages that you get excited about hearing. I am not here standing on this stage to give you a lecture about what not to do on social media, because you've got that since you were in 5th grade. Like literally, I bet you could list the things that your parents, teachers, coaches, and family said, don't do this, right? Can I see some head nods? But has anyone ever told you, well, what the heck am I supposed to do on social media? What would make you proud and excited about the way that I engage online? And hopefully you're going to take away some of that from me today. Because there's a way you can think about, well, what do I want to do with this big life of mine? Not just have an amazing experience here in college, but beyond. Not just get the job or get the family. Like, what's the impact that my life is going to mean to this world? And now that we've got social media in the mix, how do we make that meaningful and not just about likes and retweets? I hope you get inspired to tell your story, because I found by being able to tell mine in digital spaces, it changed my life in all the best ways possible. Because if you can plug into what I call a digital leadership capacity, it's the capacity you have to lead and to be in this life that you're walking around doing every day. You can plug those same things into digital spaces. We just have to look at the tools a little bit different. And then maybe, just maybe, you can go viral for all the right reasons. Does that sound good? We love viral videos, right? We're going to talk about some viral videos a little bit later. But before we talk about viral videos in YouTube, we need to talk about our past. So if we think about when you first got on to social media or the computer, the thing you had to wait to get dial-up for, you had to physically plug in. If you are a traditional age college student, you are 17 to 25. When you were in elementary school, these were the applications you could have discovered on your home computer. So we've got some AOL Instant Messenger, some AIM. Anybody remember their usernames that they would want to share? Just secretly hold them to yourself. Okay, that's okay. MySpace. Anybody was on MySpace? I mean, you technically could still be on MySpace, but who's on MySpace? Okay. Any drama with top 8s that you had to maybe pick? Some family friend feud you had. And then some chat groups and rooms that you could have discovered at a very, very young age. If you had older siblings or cousins who were on these, you probably were curious and may have created an account on your own. And then middle school, based upon when these applications came out, you could have been around the age of middle school. So Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube. Anyone get onto these applications in middle school? Okay, just me saying the word middle school makes my stomach turn a little, remembering middle school a little bit. I was the same height, but I was much different, right? I want you to think about who you were in middle school, like what you wrote about in your diary, you talked about at your lockers. Do you still think and do those same things? No. But if you had Facebook or Twitter and chose to share some of those things, you could still go find them, right? Time hop can be a scary place to go if you had Facebook as far back as 6th grade. Now, some of you may have deleted your Facebook or Twitter and started over, or cleaned house, you could say. But you are the first generation that is going to be remembered and potentially held accountable for things you did in middle school. My empathy for you is at 100%, because no adults ever had to be remembered for what they did in middle school or high school, but for you, it could live out online. And then high school time, more applications getting popular, Twitter, Kik, Yik Yak, which luckily is no more. And you came to university and college with a plethora of options, ways to connect with family and friends back home, as well as meet new people right here on campus or around the globe, literally 24/7. Is anyone feeling a little sensory overload just looking at this screen? All of these applications you could constantly be on. We could pop in and out of applications all day. Well, I want to hear what you like, love, and dislike about social media, because you may have been on it at an early age, but that doesn't mean we're thrilled about it, right? I have a lot of words that I want to give to Twitter and to Facebook lately. So, all right, give me a thumbs up if you are a big fan of Facebook. Lift it up. Maybe a woot if you are still on the Facebook fan club. Okay, give me a down symbol if that is just not your jam anymore. This front row is nope. Okay, what about Twitter? Raise it up for Twitter. Are we liking Twitter? Okay, hopefully you will tweet at least once today. Cool. Well, who is not into Twitter? What are these characters? All right, let's see it for Instagram. Raise it up, thumbs up. Instagram, nice. Who's dissing Instagram? Anybody? Okay. Hey, can I just pause for a minute because there wasn't many dislikes? Why don't y'all like Instagram? I'm just really curious. I'm a researcher, by the way. There may be research questions. Never never tried it. All right, maybe we'll convert her, you guys. Okay. No, don't do it. Okay, do you want to share? It's okay if you don't. Just don't use it. All right, that's all good. How do we feel about Instagram stories? What did they do? They just stole something we love over in our little ghost icon of Snapchat. Okay, how do you feel about Snapchat? Y'all are onto Snapchat? Okay, you like that. See? Okay, nice. Anyone not liking Snapchat or never been on Snapchat? Never been on it. Okay, that's all right. So we all are drawn to different applications for different reasons at different times and potentially with different people that we want to connect with in different platforms. And then let's just throw these into the mix. And now there is a lot of research questions that I have. Okay, so do we see a theme? You don't know any of them. Most adults, well, no, most committed adults don't. So these are dating apps. And I honestly would probably have to refresh myself about all of the ones that are on there, from Tinder, Grindr, Match, Coffee Meets Bagel, Bumble. The list goes on and on. This now potentially is in the reality of what it means to build and be in relationships in the digital age. That can potentially find you the one that you've always been looking for, or potentially comes with some pretty large frustrations. Well, there is changes constantly. If I was to come here next year, there would potentially be all these other applications that have come and gone. So to catch us up where we are, at least right now, October 2017, I have a quick video from Eric Qualman, who wrote the text, "What happens on campus stays on YouTube." Because it does. So sometimes when I show that video to like faculty or parents, they run out of the room. They are not ready. Like some of these changes could give you a little bit of anxiety. And maybe even for youth, you might feel it too, that the pace of change is very quick. Was there any stats that surprised you? I debate some of them, so I'm interested to hear your quick reactions. Yes. Whose grandparents are on Twitter? Mine is not. Mine's hardly on Facebook. She can hardly turn that computer on. If you look at the demographics of Twitter, though, it does tend to move more towards 30 and above, and pushing the newest people signing up is those that are above 65. Toothbrush, right? Well, I think that statistic is lumped into overall who has access to health care and health hygiene products around the world. If we actually especially think of beyond the U.S. and the access to those types of services we have compared to globally. And then the goldfish one freaks me out. Can you imagine me as a speaker? That's why I have 100 slides. I keep moving every 8 seconds to keep everyone's attention. All right, so now that we've got an idea about what we have with technology right now, especially with social media, I'm going to give you some skills that I've taught to thousands of college students, both in opportunities like this, as well as through my course at Florida State University that I teach completely online. And it was from research that I did with students to understand, well, what do you already know about social media, but how we could take it to the next level in what I call digital leadership for college students. And these are 6 skills that I'm going to quickly move through and get you thinking about using social media and integrating your leadership capacity a little bit differently. Sound good? Did I lose you after 8 seconds? Okay, we're going to keep going. So what, if you could think, just pause for a moment. Hopefully you have some warm bodies next to you and we're warming up in this cold space. If there was one thing that you would want the world to know you for, what would it be? If you could have the choice to kind of put out an ad to say, this is what I am about, or this is what I want to be known for, what would that be? Or what do you hope it's going to be someday? And hopefully these skills are going to make that actually come to reality sooner than you think. So the first skill is digital identity, which is talked about a lot within digital citizenship, so it really connects very well. So your digital identity, this is why we talked about all the way back in 5th grade to middle school. It's everything that you potentially have ever posted. Even applications like Instagram, if you have your settings on private, sometimes these really weird companies online pull Instagram feeds and post them other places. So even the things that we post when we have things on private sometimes get pulled from our accounts and placed elsewhere. It's also everything else everyone else is posting about you. It's that photo that your mom just tagged you in when you were the most awkward age ever that you have to ask her to take down. Or the video that you're in the background of, or an article that you're mentioned on. And all that fuels into searchability. What is searchable about you? Because we live in this searchable economy. And so digital identity, it could also be referred to as a digital impression, a digital reputation, digital footprint, and then, unfortunately, digital fail. And I'll only talk about one of those a little bit later. But when we say identity, identity is so personal to us. Answering those big questions about who I am, what's important to me, what are my values, what do I want to do with my life. So when you throw digital into it, it could get a little confusing. Well, let's take my identity. So if you were to ask, who is Josie Alquist? Well, these are just some of the photos you could scroll through my Instagram or Facebook and find. So you could start to piece together potentially parts of my identity, from being an aunt to having my doctorate to adopting rescue animals and so on. But if I was to tell you my first and foremost identity, it would be about my family and where I come from, which is in a very small town in Wyoming. Oops, I jumped forward too fast. And the people in my family that make up all those relationships that make it so core important to me. However, if you Google me, Google doesn't play like that. I can't tell it, this is what my identity is, so this is the results that I want you to show people. So what I want you to do is Google me. So open up your favorite search browser and type in my name. It's Josie, Josie, space Alquist. And what's really hilarious, you know, when you search something, it'll suggest other things that maybe you're also looking for, you know, in the drop down. I have discovered the second most common thing that my name is searched for is Josie Alquist's height. So I'll just answer it for you. I'm 4'10", said in 7th grade, so you don't have to search that. Just search me. Well, in case you don't have a phone, maybe it's hard to see on your phone, I'm going to show you what it looked like about a year ago, because Google recently changed. So the first top on your desktop would look pretty standard. Most all of them are me. Okay, pretty legit. But when you scroll further down, it gets a bit more confusing, and this is where when you go Googling, you know, you got to start getting really inquisitive. So you'll start to see a few themes, including this show on YouTube called Epic Rap Battles of History. Do you guys watch YouTube? Do you know this channel? Yeah, hold on. All right, so I met the creators of this, Lloyd and Pete, when I was in your shoes, not at Longwood, but at South Dakota State University. They were doing improv on the road, and I met them, and then, this is one of their songs, 6.5 years later, I married the co-creator, Epic Lloyd. So before YouTube and before rap battles, there was this guy. And he used to have hair, which the internet is the first thing that it wants you to know. And now it makes sense why, oh my goodness, I'm breaking stuff, why this would come up about me, because I was in one of the battles. So I did not know they were putting me in that outfit when I showed up to set. They didn't read my contract, but I wanted to like play along, be nice. It was just a little scene. So this video, I believe now is at like 16 million views. So no matter, I probably will never make another video that has more than 16 million views. So it's always going to come up first when you search for videos of me because we are visual people. We're going to search photos and videos and see what comes up. And that's okay, though, because I can embrace that as part of my digital identity. This is what comes up when you search on a desktop. Again, the internet wants to know what my husband looked like when he had hair, because he used to. And then his partner, Pete Chukoff, who's known as Nice Peter. So, again, I can curate all my own content, and most likely that's going to get pushed further to the top. But because Google likes clicks and what's interesting, Rap Battles is always going to be part of my digital identity. So let's find out what yours is. So that same search browser, now it's time to search for your name. So take a big breath and search. And in case nothing comes up, I want you to add where you went to high school or this very campus, organizations that you've been involved in, maybe a different spelling of your name, and share with your neighbor. Sharing is caring. All right, what are we finding? Anybody want to share with the whole room? I'm going to go here first and then over there. Okay, are we ready? Okay, here we go.
Oh, mine shows Angel Jones is like a bod mom, which is not me.
Who is it?
A bod mom. She's like a mother.
Do you guys know what a mod mom? Mod mom. Okay, so we're getting stuff that's maybe not us. All right, you had your hand up. What's coming up?
I just think it's funny because it's not me, but it says my name, 19, sentenced to 20 to 60 years in prison for murder.
Does he look like you?
I haven't looked at it up.
You might want to look if he looks like you. Why would we care if a mugshot comes up of someone that quasi looks like us? What do you have to report on job applications if you've ever been arrested, right? This is actually becoming more common. It's important to know when you search, because while some companies have policies against searching and looking up potential employees, let's just all be honest. In the comfort of their own home, if they're trying to make choices between a couple applicants, they're going to use any search tools possible, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever they can find. Okay, who else wants to share? One more.
I have a photo of me from my emo kid days in middle school, so that's nice.
Oh, but he looks good. Look at that hair. It's great. I'm sorry. I showed the whole room. She looks great. Okay. Anybody over here want to share? No. Okay, this one wants to share.
Google thinks I'm dead.
Oh, he's not dead. What's your name? John Patrick? It's not dead. Now, is this another John Patrick? Okay, not you. So, very common again. You could have other people with your exact same name. My maiden name was more common for some reason. And so I didn't come up at all. And especially if you haven't been creating content other than on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, I'm not surprised if nothing really of substance came up about you. If you played sports in high school or maybe now in college, those articles might be listed, or like your times and things like that. And so later, we're going to learn ways that you can start to curate that content. So then those are the things that it's the very first thing, like a potential employer would search and whatnot. But before we get there, we have to talk about how we feel about our phones. So y'all have your phones out. I want you to bring it out. If you don't have a phone, that's okay. Like, look to your neighbor's phone with a little FOMO or something. And I want you to answer honestly to your neighbor how you feel about your device. How you feel about it today, and what's all on the phone, what you do with the phone. If you want to throw the phone down. Okay, so this second skill for digital leadership is called digital wellness. And this doesn't mean like all of your social media applications are well defined and worked out. It's about being well with yourself and how you are using technology, especially social media. Because I find we can go throughout our days and not actually realize how much we're impacted by the technology around us. And I had to call myself out on this when I was getting my doctorate. And I realized a pattern that I'm going to ask y'all to answer as well. What was the very first thing that you did this morning after you turned off your alarm? Think about it. Okay, you hit snooze. Great. Never heard that one before. Who grabbed their phone and started scrolling? Not you. Okay. And how long do you think you were looking at your phone? An hour. Wow. That then requires you to set an earlier alarm, right? What's the first applications you tend to go to in the morning? Snapchat? The news? Ooh, you're brave. Anything else? YouTube? Okay. Anybody do snap streaks? You got to get those streaks in. Like, first thing, check it off. All right. How about the end of the day? What's the very last thing that you tend to do before you close your eyes and set your alarm and try to sleep? Don't overshare, people. Does anyone look at their phone in their bed before they go to bed? Yeah, I mean, it's right there. Like, it's just soothing you, like, to slumber. Is there a difference in what you look at the morning to the night, potentially? Well, so here's what I found myself doing, and it was one of those like aha moments. Was first thing I would do, wake up, look at the phone, scroll, and sometimes like I would get an email from maybe a faculty member, or I would see something on Facebook, and it would just automatically just throw me off. Like maybe I was frustrated or angry, and then I'm like jammering off to the shower and pouting already and like scarfing down my cereal. It's like, and then I keep scrolling, right? I don't stop myself. And then at night, because I'm a night owl, I don't know how many people in here, night owls, writing, reading, just getting it in, whatever you can do. So I would go from typing on my kitchen table to still kind of doing work in front of the TV, and then in my bed, scrolling through my phone, still doing emails and things. And I was having a very, very hard time sleeping. So I was like, I got to do something about this. So I started to add in some buffer times, even 5, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, whatever you can do to your morning or your evening, or at least challenge yourself to try. Because that's where we can really sometimes catch ourselves aback, is if, oh, I'm not going to use my phone today, right? And see how many times your hand just like reaches for something. If your phone's not with you, right? No, just me. Well, at least don't sleep with your phone in your bed. That could, especially if you have a Samsung. This is just a really funny video that I think is hilarious. Seriously. So digital wellness isn't about like shaming us being on our tech. I know so much good and efficiency can come from technology, but we can laugh at ourselves sometimes, right? I see in airports all the time the measures people will go to get a charge on their phone. It's really hilarious sometimes when you just sit back and you watch it. But we don't sometimes catch ourselves as much realizing the impact, the emotions that come when we maybe see something or we do something on social media. So I want to do a little exercise with y'all. I'm going to give you a number of scenarios, and I want you to tell me what would be in your top 2, like, holy cow, if this happened today, I'm going to need some meditation, okay? So I'm going to list them all, and then we're going to do a little, like, cheering. So first one, forgetting your phone at home. Is that going to be your top 2? Or how far are you willing to drive back to your home or to your residence hall to get the phone. Mine in Los Angeles is 10 miles. After that, I just have to let it go. Sending a text message to the wrong person. Is that in your top 2? I mean, what was in the text message? Who was it? So many questions that go down your mind. Getting an angry email from someone in your student organization or someone that you work with, maybe a family member. Would that be in your top 2? Someone arguing with you in Facebook comments or YouTube comments or Twitter. Something public where everyone can see this all playing out publicly. Dropping and cracking your phone. Now, I have spoken around the world, and it is a global language when a phone drops, right? I could be in an airport again, and a phone drops, and no matter what language you speak, we can all turn and go, like, we know that pain. It's expensive. Phones are expensive. Not getting likes on a photo. You know, you had the perfect filter. You looked good. There was like this perfect sunset. Why isn't anybody misspelling on social media? English majors, teachers, just people with high standards. And then finally, someone posting a photo of you that you don't like. Take that down. Untag me. Come on. All right, you ready? You got to just pick 2. So I want to hear some claps. You're doing basically the opposite of what you would actually do. You're going to cheer for what would be stressful to you. So forgetting your phone at home, give me some claps, woos, and that's big. Okay. Next, sending a text message to the wrong person. All right. Some people that got up there. Getting an angry email. Ooh, yep. We're usually the ones that have received them in the past. That's why it's such a trigger for us. Okay, someone arguing with you, Facebook comments, Instagram, Twitter. No, okay, just one. All right, that's all right. Dropping and cracking your phone. Yep, there it is, every time. Every time. Okay, not getting likes on a photo. Well, that'd be kind of a bummer. All right, don't take it back. Don't take it back. You got to commit to your choice. Misspelling something, especially Twitter, you can't take it back other than deleting it. You can't fix that. Drives me crazy. And finally, someone posting a photo of you that you don't like. That's of you. Okay. It's all good. All right. Well, different things can stress us out differently about tech and social media. So this is starting to ask you questions about when you need to power down. When has something triggered you beyond the reasonable amount just because of what you have in your hand? And so I hope you can start to feel empowered to not only power down, but take tools back to work for you. So some of you already may do this, like during finals week, you might delete apps from your phone, turn off your notifications, give your passwords to a friend, whatever you need to do. University is hard enough, and when you enter all these social media apps into it, there's a lot of distractions. Okay, digital community, and this is my favorite one to do, especially when I go to campuses, because I basically do some investigative reporting, and I look up everyone's social media profiles. So I've already scrolled through everyone's Instagram and Twitter account. I was given all your names. Don't worry, I don't have that amount of time. But I do go and look at what is the conversations going on at Longwood right now, on Twitter or on Instagram. Like, what are people posting about? And what are they talking about? And is that digital community? Because people ask all the time, well, does social media bring us together, or does it actually tear us apart? And so I try to find examples that are positive, because this is the one that isn't quite so positive. So this is Justine Seiko. Welcome, Justine. Hi, Justine. So she loved Twitter, hashtags, tweeting throughout the day. And she was taking a flight from the UK to South Africa and was getting on a flight that didn't have Wi-Fi. A bummer. So before she turned off her phone, as the stewardess asked her to do, she sent a tweet. And it was this: going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white. She turned off her phone, maybe took a nap, did some work. But while she flew 6 hours, the internet found this tweet. and created the hashtag, "Has Justine landed yet?" Because the world wanted to know, well, what was going to happen when Justine landed? There were lots of theories. We found out where she worked, where she lived, who were her second cousins, because the internet is very resourceful like that. Well, the internet wants to know and feels they need to know. And so what do y'all think happened by the time she landed? Yeah, this is a few years old. This isn't like breaking news from this stage in Longwood. So when Justine landed, her dad was waiting for her at the airport. Anybody have parents, family, friends that pick you up from the airport? Well, her poor dad was already addressing, like news reporters and answering questions. So Justine was fired. She had to go into hiding. But here's the kicker about Justine. There's a few things that are interesting. She was a PR executive running social media for other companies, and she only had about 125 Twitter followers. But if you were to look through her Twitter feed, she had a variety of tweets of this nature. So, where were her friends and family then of all the tweets in her past? And this is when we think about digital community, where the post I'm going to show you about Longwood isn't going to be like this. But we have to start to care and educate for each other, because sometimes we might post something that we think's hilarious, because I think she thought it was. But we know, and a friend or family member that cared about her would know to say, yeah, not cool. So we need to start to think about how we can take back the tools and look out for each other, even here on campus. So making the internet awesome for everyone, again, we can celebrate what's going on campus here. I want you to think about the physical communities that exist at Longwood. Maybe it's events or a residence hall or something we're in right here. And then what are those digital communities? Is everyone follow an Instagram page, or is there a Facebook group that you joined your freshman year? And is that really good enough to be in community in digital spaces? Because the most successful ones at college campuses don't come from faculty and staff. They're curated by you, the students. So I was able to do some investigative reporting of my own. I looked on things like Instagram and on Twitter, and it was just super easy to find all kinds of goodness. I really wish I was at this event. Was it last week, 2 weeks ago? So this was Oktoberfest. There was like a color run explosion, color wars. Okay. This was a really cool video. I really wanted to embed, but it wasn't working. So I could get a sense of like, okay, this is a community experience that if you go to this campus that you would have. Okay, interesting. I also started to get the notion, the idea of different friendships that we're building from these different events, maybe from being involved in Greek life and love. There were lots of love posts, like significant relationships in college, lots of heart emojis. There was also a lot of puppies. Like, I was just so happy to see so many puppies. I was really hoping at least one would come today, but didn't happen. Also knew a little bit about what happened last year. You had the vice president debates here, right? So got some of that humor in there. I also found out more, like each university I go to is a little different. You have different traditions, different culture, and different sense of humor. And so I got a sense of this was really, well, so there was a hashtag Why Longwood. So there was kind of some snarkiness going on maybe there. But I also found out about some goats maybe that were involved. That, again, I really wanted to see these goats. And people tweeted about goats a lot. This was like the highlight of the week about these goats. Again, like really hilarious. So I decided, all right, let me search more about why, the hashtag Why Longwood. And again, there were some that I'm not going to feature that maybe were a little bit more snarky, but you can find out, and maybe you posted one of these. And why, right? Why wouldn't you be obsessed about the school that you're going to? That one got a lot of shares. That was fun. And then graduations. Wow, I found a tradition. Does everyone do this or just a couple people? Okay. Someone does it. Oh my gosh, that's adorable. Okay, so I could discover this just by searching a geographic location here at Longwood. And so this is where I want you to start to realize the impact that you're actually having on the retention and recruitment of future Lancers. Is you were probably very resourceful when you chose what school you wanted to go to, right? Big decision. You probably searched any way possible to find out about this campus. So these students posting on Twitter about their choice to come to this school, every post that you put out there and you're tagging Longwood or you're using a hashtag is sharing the message of what it means to be a student here. And it could either attract future Lancers or put into question a student of why they may or may not fit on this campus. And that is really powerful. Sometimes you don't realize that until you graduate, and these are posts from alumni that I found. I found a number of different posts from alumni are just super proud to be alumnus from here. And that's going to be you someday, right? We're all going to graduate. Yep, get big jobs, important stuff. So think about that. Digital community looks different in a variety of different settings. Okay, so these last couple are going to be really specific in skill building. Digital reputation, if you happen to be selected for the lunch tomorrow, this is where I'm going to hook you up with some skills to tell your story and probably get hired from Twitter and LinkedIn. And we talk about things like getting branded, which some people would like really get detracted from. I'm not a brand, I'm a person, I don't want to be a niche or sell out like that. But you could actually do it with style, with personality that feels right to you. So I'm going to teach those tools. So just a couple to give you right now. Claim your name. Even if you're not on a social media application yet, you might want to just get your name. So anywhere, I am at Josie Alquist. Even if I don't even know what this next thing is coming up, I'll just grab it because that's my brand. And if you haven't thought about what your handle is or what your email address is, let me all tell you, my dean, my senior year in college had to sit me down and say, Josie, you need to change your email address. It's inappropriate. I was like, oh my gosh, nobody told me this whole time about my high school email address. My AOL needed to change. No, we're not going there. You can't Google about it. But a caring conversation from my dean I very much appreciated. So if you have a Twitter handle that maybe you would want an employer to find, just have that reflective moment. And maybe that means you have a second Twitter account. I don't care, as long as it's something that you're proud about. Second one, get a good headshot. It doesn't mean it's professional and you've got all this crazy lighting and you've got this brand new outfit, but it shouldn't be a selfie, especially if it's on LinkedIn or your blog or even on Twitter and you're wanting to network with people. Just have it be a really great pic of you. And talking about Twitter and bios and LinkedIn, these social media platforms are all about the meat and potatoes of the words that you use are going to make you more searchable to people that want to find people like you. And that means your bio. So 5 things with your bio to keep in mind. What's the value proposition? Why would someone want to follow you on Twitter or connect with you on LinkedIn? What makes you cool? And I know you've got a lot of things that do. You might want to pick some industry keywords, like what's the industry that you want to go into, and your first job you want to get out of college. You can list things like that. And action verbs, make it very visual of us seeing you actually do these things. Again, it's okay to have personality and know the platform. On Instagram, I have all kinds of emojis in my bio. Not so many on maybe Twitter, because we have less stuff we can include. And then, of course, spelling. I see a lot of misspellings in bios. So catch that right away. And those are just a few hints with that. But if I had a dream for you with your digital reputation of 3 applications to use in order to get a job, to brand yourself, it would be these 3. And that's LinkedIn, Twitter, and some kind of digital storytelling platform. And I use WordPress, which is a free blogging platform. So Twitter, who's on Twitter in here? Where's my Twitter people at? Okay, so maybe you've been using Twitter forever and it just wouldn't be a good fit for you to, let's say, brand yourself or network or connect with future employers. It's okay if you want to start to build something new, but I would guess they don't have a ton of time to scroll back on your Twitter posts of things that you posted back in high school. But you can also be a whole, real person. On Twitter, you can see photos of my family, to my dogs, to articles that I'm interested in. It doesn't have to be just one thing. And I'll tell you, because I've connected with people on Twitter, I have gotten jobs and contracts. And you know what those do? They give me money. What do you want to do when you get a degree? You want to get a job that gives you money, right? So I'm not saying sell yourself out to Twitter and network, but you will be surprised, I swear, how much networking happens in almost every industry on Twitter in ways that maybe you didn't see yet. And if you were to start to dip your toe into Twitter in that way now as a college student, you could potentially have some leads that you weren't aware of before. Okay, who's on LinkedIn? Don't be ashamed if you're not. It's okay. I find it's not the most attractive platform. It's getting a little bit better, but what is the value proposition, right? Well, especially if you know your first job out of college probably is going to be an entry-level position, the recruiters are sitting and waiting for you. They are there on LinkedIn, and they are going to approach you if you do set up your page with just some really simple tactics that I'll show. So again, that photo is going to look great, a really meaty bio that's very clear about who you are and what you're looking for. And then you can start to build more content as it relates. You can have an About Me section, which is basically like a very visual cover letter. You can include things like PowerPoints, YouTube videos, articles that you've been included in, so employers can see you doing these things and not just you saying that you have these skills. They can see you in a presentation you had in class or an experience that you had. And then for actual positions that you've had, and anyone in student leadership positions or you're volunteering a lot of time, if you are committing at least 8 to 10 hours a week in anything, other than maybe a relationship, that should be an experience and not a volunteer position in my mind. Everyone has different opinions. So you're a resident assistant, you're the treasurer of a student organization, bump that up into experience and add some visuals to it. Because again, LinkedIn really likes words, and it likes original content. So when you can add both media and text, those recruiters are going to be able to find you so much easier. Who wants a job after college? Let's hear for it. Yay for jobs. Yay. Who wants to go to grad school? Yep. Grad schools too. You can send your LinkedIn URL and they can see all that content, because most positions you apply for only want a one-page resume, right? They say, I'm just going to throw out page 2, 3, and 4. But LinkedIn, what I love, it has no limits, so they can just keep scrolling and finding content. So that last one is producing shareable content. And for me, that was blogging. But you've got ways to create content in a variety of forms, from YouTube to podcasting to Twitch to SoundCloud. The list goes on and on. And it might be based upon, again, where are you going in your life from here for that platform that best fits you, in sharing content that you probably already have locked away on Dropbox or Google Drive. How many papers have you wrote since high school? Too many, right. How many presentations have you given? Too many, right. But have you ever showed anyone other than maybe your parents or obviously the faculty member that graded them? So this is how I started to blog, was I started to chop up the papers that I was writing in my classes, and I would post them on my blog. And they got shared a lot. But it wasn't just my faculty member and my mom that liked my paper. More people were into what I was researching and writing. So think about that as maybe a baby step. If there is one paper in your Dropbox that you're super proud of, how could that live out in a digital space, even if it was in a portfolio? And you can start small. I started on Tumblr, just blogging for fun. That was before I went to school. And then I had a free platform on WordPress. And then it was 3 years after that, then I hosted a website. So don't feel like you got to make it perfect. I had tons of mistakes blogging, but you learn from them, and it's all going to be shareable. So I asked at the very beginning, like, what your capacity is for leadership, what you want to do in the world, what makes you passionate. Those are the types of things that we want to see you sharing more about. And just take it one post at a time. It's going to change over time, and that is just okay. So we're getting toward the end with these last two. When we think about what digital leadership is, I want to first get you thinking about role modeling. Who are your role models for digital behavior? Like, how did you figure out how to use Instagram, or what to and not to do on Snapchat or Facebook? And you can just ask that to yourself. Maybe you had somebody that sat you down and helped you out. Most of us are just figuring out through trial and error, right? We're just figuring it out as we go. But you may also pay attention to celebrities that have lots of followers. And these are actually very outdated because Beyonce and her Beehive have about like 90 million, I think. And she's actually been overtaken by Selena Gomez, who I think maybe has 100 million. But it is a question, does followers mean role models? Because some of these, I don't know if I'd put the Kardashians on this list. Twitter, different list of who's got the most followers. You've got Katy Perry, Justin Bieber, Barack Obama, Taylor Swift. He has a lot of followers. Oh, I know. He randomly follows different people. That's an interesting tactic. Snapchat, this guy was the one to really come out the gates, give some inspiration and keys to success. Those of you that intake a lot of YouTube content might be familiar with this guy who is trending so quickly, the YouTube stats cannot even keep up. He is the biggest joke. I would not say he's the kind of role model I would want you to follow. Maybe some Lily Sings. Any Lily Sing fans in here? She's fantastic. Maybe Simone Biles. The way she used Instagram, I just get a little uplifting anytime she comes into my feed. Lily Herman, she started to blog in college and now works for Teen Vogue and writes for all kinds of different columns. So you could think about how she uses social media. Or then if we were to think about, okay, well, I don't want to just create content. I want to create movements and make experiences happen and maybe make positive change. You could look to others that have come before you, like the women that was behind the movement for Black Lives Matter. Because what we know, no matter what movements that you're part of or political parties that you affiliate with, what you tweet matters, right? We know what certain people tweet are going to be quoted on the news the whole day, right? We know maybe from a case like Justine, what you choose to post on Twitter potentially could change you ever getting a job in the industry that you'd like to be in anymore. You know what she did, but she is not on Twitter anymore. She does have a job, but she is not out there. So what I want you to know is what you post on Instagram matters, what you post on Facebook matters, because you are a role model, not just a digital role model, a role model to more people than probably you'll ever realize, because you are here in college, you're going to be successful in your life. Those that aspire to go to college or to be moving in places like you are, look to you, including what you post on Facebook or Instagram. And so take that with a weight of confidence and hopefully inspiration. So the last thing to leave you with is these digital decisions, if you ever come into question. Because posting and using social media as a college student, I think about little Josie, same height, just younger, in college at South Dakota State. I missed MySpace by 1 month. But I guarantee if I had the same experiences that I had and I did what I did in college, now I may not be standing on this stage today. If I would have posted on social media some of the things I did. But y'all can't do it that way, right? You know, in society, the things that you want to enjoy that maybe alumni or your parents got to enjoy in college would come back potentially to haunt you or be looked at differently. And so, again, I empathize with the decisions that you have to approach life with now. We're all held accountable to different standards, which could be a good thing for living congruently and through a lens of leadership. And so it's okay if you actually have made a mistake in the past on social media. I have. Who's made a mistake on social media before? I mean, if we've been online this long, it's bound to happen. And being able to admit that is half the battle, right? Because my research actually shows that those that can say, yeah, this is my mistake and this is what I've learned from it, you're probably doing better today. Because we can learn from those things. But think about it, if you ever do come to a crossroads about should I post something or not, this is who I think about. My grandma is my digital influencer because while she's not on Twitter, she is on Facebook. And she's just the woman that I just want to be able to not only love, but impress and to make proud of the things that I'm doing. So think of that one person that might be for you, and maybe it's actually yourself. Maybe it's your future self and what you would want to see when you scroll back on Time Hop. Because I know y'all are very capable of making amazing decisions. You chose to come to this campus and you chose to come to this session. Give yourselves a round of applause. But you do need to potentially create some terms and conditions for your life that make these tools work for you and not against you. Because let's think about far beyond in life. Who knows someday we might have our iPhones on our wrists or robots will be taking care of our babies. Like, who knows what technology is going to be by the time we retire. But I want you to think about your favorite social media application. And if you could pick the very last post that you would want to post there, what would it be? Your last Instagram post, tweet, or Facebook? What would that last message that you would want to send? Because we are leaving these footprints of us, of our true identities on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all these places. And if you're not really posting your true self, you might be missing out on what that legacy could be. So I want you to think, your digital stamp, if you were to stamp on the internet and claim, this is me, this is my legacy, this is what I'm about, what would that be? So I want you to bring your phone out. This is the last time I'm going to ask you to use your phones. And open up Twitter or open up a text if you don't want to post it publicly. And answer this question. Post your digital stamp, your impact on the world. What is that impact that you want to have on this big, bold world? And if you do want to share it, use the hashtag DCW17. You can post it. I believe in you. Or just text it to yourself. Just that reminder. That might be your checklist that you have to look at if you're ever in doubt. So I hope I've given you some tools to think about plugging into what I see as your digital leadership capacity with these 6 different skills. There probably could be 15 skills, but these are just the ones that I have to offer today. And some final thoughts is understand yourself, your identity, where you come from, what's important to you, and celebrate and share that. Invest in your purpose, and that can be included in telling your story in some digital platforms. And then hopefully you do go viral for all the right reasons. So thank you so much for having me today. It was my honor to be here. I'm going to stick around. We are going to draw those winners for lunch tomorrow, which not only is, right, free lunch, but you get to hang with me and learn how to get a job through Twitter. So I'm going to hand it over. Thanks for having me, you guys.